And you know what? When we study European history, where do we start with European history? We start in Europe, of course. But if we're going to study black history, where do we start? We start in Africa. It's really important to understand that the world and all of civilization begins in Africa. Mankind begins in Africa. Great kingdoms, great science, great mathematics, great art and culture all starts in Africa. It started 10,000 years ago. So in order to understand African American history, we must go back to the source, and the source is Africa. And these days, what people learn is Africa is some kind of dark, wild, crazy continent, poor and impoverished. Well, in fact, that's not true. Africa is a very rich continent, and it has an amazing history and culture, and our African American students and all of our white students need to understand Africa is the source of all civilization. So in order to start with understanding American history, we need to start with Africa. Because as W. Du Bois said a long time ago, what would America be without her Negro people? What would our music be? What would our culture be? What would our cuisine be? What would our fashion? What would our sports? What would our science? What would it be without its Negro people? And where did they come from? They came from Africa. And when they brought from Africa their Africanist sensibilities, they have made this country so much stronger and so much greater. You know, America is the most admired culture in the world. All over the world. They might not like some of our governmental policies, but they love American culture. And if it weren't for our Africans in America, we would not have this amazing culture in America. So we start in understanding African American history, we start at the source. We start at Africa.